98 FM, first on film and entertainment. M-rated 98 minutes. Euthanasia comes under the microscope in the drama Blackbird. The last days of a terminally ill woman called Lily, played by Susan Sarandon, who's in her late 60s, are played out with her family and closest friend. Her husband, Paul, Sam Neill, a doctor, has the medication, which is legal in several states, but not where they live. He intends to administer it and make up a story to tell the police once the deed has been done. But before that, the family, disparate though it is, gathers. The oldest daughter, Jennifer, Kate Winslet, is a straight-laced control freak. Her husband, Michael, Rainn Wilson, is a fact-sprouting nerd. Their 15-year-old son, Jonathan Anson Boone, is trying to find his own way. Lily's other daughter, Anna, Mia Wasikowska, has always been a problem child, seemingly lost, unable to stick to anything and settle down. She and her sister, Jennifer, clash regularly. Anna arrives with her younger, on-again, off-again girlfriend, Chris, Bex Taylor Krausz. Elizabeth, Lindsay Duncan, is Lily's oldest friend. They had their wild days. They went to college. They travelled together. They shared experiences. Now, over an early festive Christmas dinner, it's not all beer and Skittles, although there are a few laughs. We know something's wrong from the outset because Lily has lost the use of her left arm. She walks slowly and uncomfortably, and even a little activity tires her out. There are awkward silences all around. This is the work of Danish writer Christian Torp and director Roger Michell, who did My Cousin Rachel, Dave.
Yeah, this was one of those movies where I just sat there mesmerised throughout the entire film. Euthanasia is a touchy subject in our family, and it's something that I've thought about a lot over the years as well. And I just found this to be a film that really, really captured that. It went deep into what it would be like for a family who was experiencing it. But I liked the fact that the film never felt preachy. It never felt like it was trying to push an agenda or anything like that. And instead it used a powerful script, some great characters and some brilliant acting to just let the story flow. And that's what I thought was the power of this movie. No preachiness, just let the story flow.
Peter, in amongst all of this, there's food for thought for the audience, namely, God forbid, what would we do under the circumstances question, isn't there?
There is. I'm not quite as effusive about the film as Dave is. I was disappointed because the whole notion of assisted suicide is a very difficult topic, and this film goes off the rails to some extent by focusing on all the tensions and issues of other family members and less about the central issue. I mean, the whole notion of assisted suicide has been dealt with by a number of films. Obviously, the Danish film that this film is based on, that Roger Michell has sort of taken on board, but also Last Cab to Darwin, if we remember that one, and there was a German film that played at the German Film Festival a few years ago called Here and There, which also dealt with a man who wanted to die and having his family around him to try and assist that process. I think the problem with this film is that it has too many multiple stories, and that diffuses to some extent the central story of Susan Sarandon and Sam Neill's sort of situation. And I think that's what I found disappointing, that I really felt that it missed the mark and yet had some great actors in it.
I didn't mind the story threads, Greg, but one thing that bothered me is it took 20 minutes before it was made crystal clear what was going down. And by then you may have switched off. And I can understand why you would. Is the subterfuge really necessary? I didn't think it was. Because, I mean, the point of this movie is to discuss the action being taken and the dysfunctional family dynamic.
Oh, look, I got the issue of euthanasia, some of the ins and outs of that too, but this film was focusing on the family dynamics there, the dysfunctional family dynamics there, and I thought the characters were brought to life there. I particularly like Jonathan and his journey there, and Chris, Mia Wasikowska's girlfriend there, her journey. I thought they brought a bit of life to it because they're outsiders to the adults in the family, and I thought they brought different perspective to it all. It's got a great cast, this film, and I thought Susan Sarandon, she still looks luminous, even though she's been on the screen for basically 50 years. She still looks luminous, and I thought she did a good job with her role as a woman suffering this terminal illness there. Sam Neill was strong in support. I thought he brought a bit of warmth there. And Kate Winslet was certainly really good as the uptight Jennifer there. And this is another one of those films that look like it could be a film play, because most of the drama takes place inside this luxurious house. I love the production design of their house there too, the way it had its own rooms and spread out there. But it did have the feel of a film play occasionally to me.
But what about what I was talking about? I asked you about the first 20 minutes. I mean, why would
that didn't bother me so much. It was sort of setting up the what was coming.
Oh yeah,
that didn't bother me, Alex.
Okay, fair enough. What about the others amongst you, Dave? Did that trouble you?
No, it didn't. It didn't really trouble me at all. I thought it was a good setup to the rest of the film. The one question I did have though is, have any of you other gentlemen seen the original film that it's based on, the Danish film?
No. What was that called?
Silent Heart.
Okay, no, you've seen that?
No, I haven't. I was just wondering how true it was to the original film, because it did to me at times have a bit of a Scandinavian feel to it, so it wasn't too much of a surprise to me to find out that it was actually based on a Danish film.
Yeah, well,
the same writer.
Yeah.
Well, it took quite some time for the film to pick up a gear, and once it does, there are some pleasant and not so pleasant exchanges as we learn more about the players. And you know, I mean, that's fair enough, but I agree with you, Peter. I hardly think this sets the world on fire. It provides a few twists on a subject that is filled with angst, and it's a bit of a different take on it, and I appreciated that, but I wasn't convinced it worked as well as it could have worked. So with all of that, let's start with you, Peter. Score out of 10?
Well, because
I should give the name of it again. It's called Blackbird. It's rated M, and it runs for 98 minutes. Pardon me.
Yes, and the title obviously being used in a symbolic sort of way. Because of the melodrama that intrudes into the film later on, it disappointed me a little bit, so I can only give it 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Greg King?
Yeah, look, I'll give it 6 out of 10 too. It was engaging enough, but look, there's an air of familiarity about it. We've seen a lot of this kind of stuff before.
And Dave Griffiths, I dare say it'll be a higher mark from you.
No, it's a 6 out of 10 from me, but I did enjoy some of the acting performances. I thought Beck's Taylor Krausz was pretty good in the film, and I liked seeing Kate Winslet play a little bit of an unlikable character for a change as well.
Yeah, well, I've also given it a 6 out of 10, so there you go. After all that, even though we disagreed, so Dave, even though you liked it, you didn't really love it.
No, it's not a film that I would probably go out and watch again, but I did enjoy the screenplay, and I enjoyed what that screenplay meant that the actors were able to deliver as well.
All right, well, let's move to one that I've been wanting to talk about for some